Alright, the KLX update you guys have been waiting for. So in this video with the KLX, went through the simple things as to what could be causing the knocking issue that we got when I was out ripping in the snow. Uh-oh. I'll show you those clips here. We checked valve clearance, chain tensioner, all that stuff. Let's go ahead and get into that, and then I'll see you guys after those clips. Alright guys, first day here with the KLX. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take off the timing inspection caps here. Going to try and rotate it over by hand. If we get stuck on a valve, then it's pretty clear what happened. So without further ado, let's just do it. Well, turn it over a couple times by hand, and there was no contact, no stopping, piston hitting the valve, didn't bind up or anything, felt pretty normal. So I guess that means I have to take the valve cover off, make sure we're still in timing. If we're in timing, could be the KACR, I think it's Kawasaki automatic compression release. Spring could have come off in there, caused some havoc in the head. As you can see, we got the KLX behind me here, and we're stripping it down and gonna go ahead and remove the valve cover here to go ahead and check on our cam timing. And if there's an issue there, we'll know what the knocking was. If not, we'll probably have to dive a little deeper, check out the cam chain, make sure the tension's still good. If not, looks like we're gonna be going deeper into the motor. Valve cover off. And we are still, in fact, in time. You can see here the lines on the left, intake, exhaust, we're lined up with the head, and yeah, we're in time. One thing I did notice is that you can kind of see that spot there on the intake cam lobe. I thought it was just some, I don't know, marker type of thing, but put my finger on it and it looked like it had some metallic to it. I wiped it off on this paper towel here, not thinking much about it. Hard to tell, it looks a little metallic. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the spring is still on the automatic compression release, so we look good there. Upon inspection with the top end, cams at least, does not look like there's an issue here. Next moment of truth here, I guess. So we got the valve cover off, check the timing. Now we're just gonna go ahead and drain the oil, see if there's any metal shavings in it. Got a couple of cups here. Gonna go ahead and drain it, and if there is, we'll check if it's magnetic. I believe magnetic is rings, and not magnetic is rods, I believe, or rod in this case. I believe the rod is kind of a goldish color, but yeah, let's go ahead and drain it. Let's see if we can do it. Ooh, nice. Yeah, you guys see that? Huh. Oh boy. I mean, there's something in there. Dang. So here's the filter. I don't know, you can't really see a bunch of metal in there. So we're gonna have to go ahead and sift through the oil and see if the metal in there is magnetic or not. Okay, so we're out in the garage here again with the KLX. Now looking at the oil, there were shavings, but they didn't really seem too bad, like it would be if I spun a bearing or something. Looking back on the video too, doesn't really sound bottom end like rod knock or anything. It sounds like the top end. So right now I'm gonna look through the top end again and make sure I'm not missing anything. Crank it over by hand because I really feel like it's a top end. Alright, so the tensioner's out. Doesn't look like it got pushed back in any, so geesh, I guess we'll reset it and go ahead and put it back in the bike. So as you can see, the KLX looks like it's put together, but really I just have the valve cover on here so that way nothing drops in there. Plastic's off, fuel tank disconnected, obviously the seat is loose, and again, no oil. Drain the oil, do not start. So I guess let's go ahead and talk about the things that we did in this video. So check the chain tensioner. Doesn't appear that it got pushed back at all. So chain was tight, cam chain timing was in spec, valve clearances in spec, automatic compression release, spring still on there, working as it should. So really, that's pretty much all there is to the top end, and nothing seemed to be wrong there. Other thing we did was drain the oil. You could see some metal shavings in there, but it didn't seem excessive. It kind of just seemed like a fresh oil change after a break-in. My friend actually took like a magnetic rod that he had, stuck it in the oil, swirled it around, and we really didn't pick up any shavings. So the things that we did see doesn't appear to be magnetic, and that probably means, if anything, that it's the bearing. KLX has roller bearing apparently for the rod. So with all that being said, it looks like I'm just going to start tearing apart the top end, cam cap off, take the cams out, take the head off, and that appears to be where we're going to be going from here. I'll talk about my plans here in a second because I had a couple ideas, but I think I've settled on the best thing to do with the KLX here with what I've done with the KLX. So next step in the diagnosis, besides taking the cams out, head off, all that stuff, gonna go ahead, take the spark plug out, crank the engine over, and use the method of sticking a long extension down there, seeing if we have any play, see if it tells us something about the rod bearings. So probably not the update that some people are looking for. Some people just expected me to have the motor out of the bike, torn apart in a day or so, but it's gonna take time to take this motor out and tear it apart if that's what needs to be done. Hey, we'll get it done, and I guess now talking about moving forward, what I plan to do. So initially when I saw it wasn't the top end stuff, I was kind of thinking that I should just do a stroker. Someone had commented on a video a while back, I believe it was on one of the dyno videos with the KLX here, and they told me that I should go ahead and contact 4Stroke Works, I believe. Jerry Layton, I believe his name is, and he worked on the Larry Rossler race bike, and they have the KLX351, which I believe is a 340 bore, if you want to call that. I believe that's 82, 83 millimeters for the bore, and then of course the stroker brings it up to 365, and I think they even did a 390 stroker, or I'm not sure what they did to get to 390, but anyways, they got pretty close to 40 wheel horsepower. I think it was 39 or something like that. Right now we're at 31, and so I thought that, hey, the stroker would be a pretty cool thing to do, but let me tell you what's all involved with that. So A, need to send out the crank to get stroked, need to turn the flywheel then, and since the stroker won't work with the 351 kit, I believe we have too much compression, so we get some piston valve contact. You'd need to shave down the piston a bit, in layman's terms, but we don't know if there's enough material on the piston of the 351 to do that. So what we would end up needing to do is send my stock cylinder that I kept, get that bored to a 340, so 82 millimeter, 83. I could send down the engine to him, he'd assemble it, have it ready to go for about $2,500. Then I'd still need to do the cams, which I planned on doing anyways with 351. So all of that would cost about $3,500 to get this bike stroked, fully built motor. So first thoughts, that would be an absolute unit of a bike, and it would be an absolute beast. But then I got to thinking, I'm at 31 wheel right now. If I got the ignition timing fixed, probably bring that up to 33, maybe 34 with the cams. I'd probably be adding another few horsepower, at least a 37, so we're already at that number that I get with the stroker, and I know how the 351 handles. So after thinking about that, I figured that if it's just a rod bearing and I need to freshen up the rings with the 351, get in there, change out the rod bearing, freshen up anything else that needs to be done in there, get the cams in there, start working on that ignition timing, get everything tuned, and once we have that, then like I said, we should be pretty close to 37 wheel horsepower. So that's kind of my plan moving forward. Another idea I had was to just swap a 450 motor into the KLX here, but then that would also be a big chunk of change. If I was super big and I blew up, I'd probably be doing that. But as of right now, I think a lot of people want to see the limits of the stock platform, you can call it. And I think that just about wraps up everything with the KLX here. So I'm going to be working on the KLX here when I can. Obviously, I'm a busy guy. I got a life to live. But I'm going to be making other content with things that are working, like the KX, my car, heck, maybe even my brother's bike, the side-by-side, and of course some Bronco stuff. So if you want to stick around for that, great. If not, well, I'll be getting to the KLX when I can. Like I said, it's going to take time, but we'll get it done, and it'll be back ripping harder than ever. So be sure to let me know down in the comments anything else I can check here in the top end. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a big thumbs up, share it to your friends, those who may enjoy it, and of course, if you're not subscribed, go down there, hit that subscribe button, get the bell on to keep up with all the action here. About 80% of you watching these videos are not subscribed. Let's try to change that ratio a bit, because hey, if you like motorsports, you're in the right place. But with all that being said, join the club, and I'll see you in the next one.
I'ma blow up. Yeah.